Hello, this is Mr. Pulliam coming to you live from my living room. Well, that's not entirely true. It is from my living room, but it is not live. I wanted to show you musictheory.net. It's really great for you to practice some of the things we've been discussing and to maybe see some of the things in a different way that might be better suited to how you prefer to learn. Musictheory.net, the link is on the class website and under every class but except technical theater. I also put a link to it in the in each module, in each lesson. I may move that to just leaving the two links up at the top of classwork, just sort of hanging out there by themselves for you to reference. That might be a little more streamlined. So, musictheory.net. They have lessons and exercises and tools. And I have looked at their lessons and exercises. I have not looked at tools, so we may have another video on that. Theory lessons for iPhone and iPad. You can just skip that. You don't need to buy any of that. You don't need an app. You have me. Okay, they lay out things a little differently, a little more to the point, in a little different order, so I'll be skipping around some. We'll take a look at the staff, clefs, and ledger lines, and you can kind of see how it works. They have staff is the foundation upon which notes are drawn. The modern staff comprises 5 lines and 4 spaces, and they have it illustrated. Every line or space on the staff represents a white key on the keyboard. That is important. Here they're showing you that G on the staff is this key on the keyboard. That's a G. Now, this key is also a G, but it's this G up here. There's another G down here, but it would be a G down on the bass clef. So for now, every line or space on the staff represents a white key on the keyboard. That will show up on next week's test, which will more than likely be 2-part and timed. It may just be 1 part and all timed. Clefs assigned individual notes to certain lines or spaces. 2 clefs are normally used, the treble and the bass clef, treble clef, and the bass clef. I have been telling you not to worry about the bass clef. Let's start worrying about the bass clef. For crying out loud, there are only 2 of them, and they don't look anything alike. One kind of looks like a G, and it circles the G on the staff, and one kind of looks like an F, and it is on the dots are on each side of the F. So yeah, you need to know bass and treble clef for next week's test. First, we'll discuss the treble clef, also called the G clef. See, I told you so. Looks like a G, right around the G. The staff which the red clef wraps around, shown in red, the staff line rather, shown in red is known as G, and any note placed on this line becomes G, and this looks like a G. Okay. The note on the space above G is A. Remember, there's not an H. After you get to G, you start over with A, B, C, D, etc. And it continues till you have G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Just out of room to place notes, what happens now? Ledger lines. A ledger line is a small line that extends the staff when we run out of room. That's a ledger line. It's empty. It's very unusual to see an empty ledger line unless there's another one above it that has a note on it. They can also extend below the staff. With the ledger line drawn, we can place an A. Let's discuss the bass clef, also called the F clef. The staff line in between the 2 dots is the F. Okay, so that's the F clef. We can now fill in the rest of the notes. F, G, A, F. I wish they had put a G there. F, E, D, C, B, A, G. So they came down, so it's in the reverse order. Or you can start at this space and go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And I'm moving fast, but you can come back and take a look at all this again. Then the grand staff, a theoretical staff consisting of 11 lines. Now, in my college music history class, I was taught that this is what the staff used to look like way back in the good old bad old days of the early Renaissance, I believe it was. But that's insane trying to read all those lines. My eyes get crossed just looking at it, and it doesn't even have notes on it. So we take out that very center line, we eliminate the middle line, we end up with two regular staffs. Put a treble clef on one, on the top one, a bass clef on the other one, you can start to see the relationship between them. All that's missing is this line. Well, if you put a ledger line, one ledger line above the bass clef, one ledger line below the treble clef, it's the same note. It's exactly the same pitch. It is exactly the same key on the piano, and it is called middle C, since it corresponds to the middle staff line on the grand staff. It is also the C on a piano that is most near the center. It's not perfectly in the center, but it's the closest one to the center. Okay, so you kind of see how this is laid out differently, and depending on how you learn, this one might be better for you. If you just want to go back and fact check, this is the one. If you want more of an explanation, look on earmaster.com. This is musictheory.net. We're not going to worry about note duration right now. We will worry about measure and time signature. We've discussed bar lines previously. This is just an easy way to study and be reminded. Time signatures, we've discussed previously. 4/4 and 3/4. I believe we've discussed them previously. If not, we're discussing them now. 4/4, 3/4. 4/4 feels like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4. Here I change the number on each one. That's so you can keep up with the number of measures that you're in. You could just as easily count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's 4/4. 4 beats per measure, quarter note gets a beat. 3/4. 3 beats per measure, quarter note gets a beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 4/4 is called common time. 3/4 is called waltz time. You don't have to know that yet, but you will want to one day. 4 quarter notes. I just told you that. Second measure, 3/4, contains 3 quarter notes. 3 quarter notes. 4 quarter notes. Non-quarter note time signatures. 6/8 and 3/2. I hardly ever see 3/2. I cannot remember the last time I saw a 3/2 time signature. 6/8, very common, and it is counted as 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. It usually is not counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Usually think of it as 2 beats, each beat being divided up into 3 parts. So 6/8 contains 6/8 notes, but we group them up as these 3 go together, these 3 go together, usually. 3/2 contains 3 half notes. This is the craziest key signature to introduce at this time. I'm not sure that I've ever played or sung anything in 3/2. This chart displays all of the time signatures that we discussed. 4-4, 3-4, 6-8, 3-2. The next most common ones that you would see after this are 2-2 and 2-4, and then 12-8. But this is enough for now, and don't worry about 3-2. Okay, so that's time signatures. You can come back to this and look over it. Time signatures will be on the next test. I may say something like a time signature that tells you there are 4 quarter notes in each measure would be 4 quarter notes. Quarter note gets a beat, and there are 4 of them. Quarter note gets a beat, rather, there are 4 of them. A time signature that has 3 quarter notes in each measure. Quarter note gets a beat, and there are 3 of them, would be 3-4. Time signature that asks for, that represents 6 eighth notes in each measure, would be 6-8. Eighth notes, you have 6 of them. And 3-2 would not be an answer because I'm not going to ask you about 3-2. We are not worrying about note duration and rest duration right now. Know that notes look like this. Be able to identify notes. All notes have an oval of some sort on the bottom of them, or on the top of them if the stems go down. But all the notes are an oval. Might be hollow, might be solid, but all the notes are an oval. Rests look like this. Rests do not look anything at all like this. So you should at least be able to go, these are notes and those are rests, or that's a note and that's a rest. Steps and accidentals. You will need to be able to recognize sharps and flats. I'm not I'm not going to get really heavily involved with steps right now because we're still learning terminology. But a half step is a semitone. Let's know that. From any key on the piano to the next key is one half step. Here's a key. The next key is this key, this black key right here. That is one half step. And then from number 2 to the next key, which is this white key, that's a half step. From here to here is a half step. From this black key to this white key is a half step. And then look, from this white key to this white key is a half step. The reason the pattern is irregular is to help you find your place on a keyboard. And as guitarists or singers, you should know how to at least plunk out a melody on a keyboard. Singers certainly should. Guitarists, it's going to make piano players think more highly of you if you can at least do that. Half step is not always a white key to a black key. That's what I just said. From here to here, from there to there is one half step. Next week, we'll get into some ear training, and we're just going to learn what half steps and whole steps sound like. Whole step is 2 half steps. So here is, from here to here is a half step. From here to here is a half step. So that means from key 1 to key 3 is a half step. Okay, a whole step is 2 half steps. Accidentals, flat, you lower a pitch half a step. Sharp, you raise a pitch half a step. You raise a note written half a step if it has a sharp in front of it. You lower it if it has a flat in front of it. We discussed that at length in the earmaster.com text. This explains it all. Again, it's pretty self-explanatory. They break it down in little bitty bite-sized pieces. And then we get into double flats and double sharps. They exist. Don't worry about them right now. Just know they exist. Double flats, two flats stuck together. Double sharp is that instead of that. I'll probably put on the test, that symbol is a whatever. This symbol is a whatever. But we aren't going to get into how they work within keys and that kind of thing. Not right now. That's on down the line. Yeah, this just explains it some more. So I want you to know double flat, flat, natural, sharp, double sharp. Lowers the note half a step, raises the note half a step. A natural means forget about that flat that you just saw. This note is natural. Or forget about the flat in the key signature. This note will be natural. Will be a natural note, not will be natural. The rest of these things we're going to get into later. Major scales and key signature and scale degrees. We'll get into that later. And we'll also start some ear training. Now, let me show you a couple of things here that will help you. We can go to exercises. Note identification, key signature identification, interval identification, scale identification, chord identification. Watch this. We are primarily concerned with note identification. Challenge mode. Okay, I'm not going to start a challenge mode because I can go over here and I can tell it what I want to practice. Clefs. I want to practice treble clef and bass clef. Don't care about all these clefs. Don't worry about the grand staff. I just want to identify treble and bass clefs. Okay? Treble range. So far, I wanted you to be able to identify these notes from an E to an F. But since we've learned about ledger lines, on next week's test, I want you to be able to identify on treble clef up to an A and down to a C. You can also adjust them right here. Okay? I want you to know C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And if you practice this, it won't be any problem. Bass range, not really worried about you knowing bass clef just yet. Let's learn treble clef first. So you can, there's no way to turn the bass clef off. So you can just go, and we know that the F is the F clef. The only notes that it will give you are F, if you set it like this. So when you see the bass clef, see the bass clef, you can just know it's an F. But you have to go in and set it. Remember, in treble clef, we set it to be from C to A. Positions, we want to work on lines and spaces. You can practice lines only and spaces only if you want to break it down that far. Sure, but I'm going to do it with lines and spaces. And then key signatures, we are only concerned with one key signature right now, and that is, it looks like there is no key signature. There are no sharps and flats. Everything is natural, so that's this one. Note names, we're going to use letters. You can choose to use letters, scale degrees, minor scale degrees, solfege, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. They have different kinds of solfege. We are just going to worry about letters right now. We may get into solfege later. Helpers, we don't need any helpers, but you can get helpers if you want them. Accidentals, we are not going to worry about accidentals. It'd start throwing flats and sharps at you then. Note filter. Yes, we want to turn on the note filter, and that means we want to limit the notes to these, all of the natural notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Now, if we wanted to turn on flats, we could go down through here and, we want to identify notes that are flatted, but we're not going to worry about that. Not yet. The next question will appear immediately, and the challenge mode is on. That means it's going to time you. So let's see how Pulliam can do here. Oh, wait a minute. Somewhere. Oh, yeah. You go to challenge mode, you can set a time limit, and you can set how many questions you want, and you can give yourself multiple attempts to do it if you want to practice the same one over and over. I knew there was a place to set the number of notes. So I'm going to start the challenge, and then I'm going to go D, F, F, E, E, A, D, F, D, D. There we go. I got 100 out of 100. I should hope so. And this is all it's given us. Oops, I missed that one. I wasn't paying attention. That is B, F, C, D. I really didn't mean to do two. Oh, we're on bass clef now. See, I wasn't paying attention. I was wondering what they were doing about clefs. Again, not paying attention because I thought I was still in bass clef. See, I shouldn't have been so braggadocious a minute ago. C, D, A, D, B, E. Yeah, so see, easy peasy up here. Pulliam didn't pay attention right here. Womp, womp, womp. So you can do those for practice. And somewhere there is, the pop-up piano. That's one of the tools I have looked at. Tools. Pop-up piano. There's a pop-up piano. Now we can go back to some of these other things. And when we look at this, okay, like this, for example, you get my piano back up here. Where'd the piano go? There it is. Yep, went away again. That's not going to work. There we go. Can I close that? Sorry about this, folks. Right now, I am just, I know I got a messy desktop. Don't worry about it. It's not your desktop. It's my desktop. Here we go. Now, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Here's a C. This C, C4, is middle C. This is just a little bit of a piano keyboard. But it would be the one right down here. But this G is right here. G, and we said the notes and spaces represent the white keys on the piano. So G, A, B, turn it up some, Let's start over. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I hesitated because it doesn't sound quite right, does it? Because you were expecting this. Expecting that F sharp in there. But this is what's written. This, what I'm playing, is what's written up here. B, C, D, E, F, G. If we want to mark off keys, we can. We can go C, E, G, C. That's a C chord. You don't have to know that right now, but that's what it is. Okay, so there is a pop-up piano. So you can, oops, switch it back to play. You can mess around with the piano and start listening to note intervals and things, to intervals and things like that. And we will get there. That's why I want you to be able to at least look at a treble clef and plunk out notes on a treble clef so you can hear some intervals and practice listening to intervals and train your ear to hear intervals. But that's for later. I will post a sheet. Actually, I will take last week's sheet that you used to prep for this week's quiz. I will add some things to it, and that will be what you need to study for next week's test. And remember, it will be timed. It will be timed. Because you need to learn to recognize these things quickly. I will give you ample time, but it will be timed. All right. Okay, that's it. Until next time, bye-bye.